What's up, you guys? Welcome to The Imagination. I'm your host, Emma, and today I'm honored to introduce you all to MK Ultra, satanic ritual abuse and organized abuse survivor, overcomer and thriver, loving mother, published author and writer, investigator and educator, podcaster and podcast host of her own YouTube channel, global spiritual and transformational coach, remote viewer, live music and travel lover, and a beautiful soul who has risked everything to help us find the light, Rebecca Barron. A little bit about Rebecca's story and some of what you can expect to hear about on today's episode. From childhood, Rebecca was ensnared in a shadowy network involving high-profile figures, including the British royal family and notorious individuals like Jimmy Savile. Subjected to MKUltra trauma-based mind control and black magic, she endured experiences designed to fracture her mind and bind her to a parasitic system. Yet even in the depths of despair, Rebecca's heart refused to surrender. A profound spiritual awakening shattered the veil of normalcy, igniting a journey of self-reflection and psychic awakening. And by age 33, memories from her traumatic past began to surface, revealing the extent of the programming she had endured. From horrific rituals to encounters with non-human entities she describes as watchers, reptilians, and hybrid beings. Rebecca's battle was not just against external forces, but within herself as she unraveled the mental and emotional programs instilled in her as a child. Through relentless self-awareness and emotional release, she broke free from the energetic web that tethered her to her abusers, including a pivotal confrontation with the dark forces she believes were orchestrated by the royal family. Her intuitive insights exposed a reality where these entities, part human, part AI, and alien, feed off human energy, manipulating global systems to maintain control. Rebecca's triumph came not from external saviors, but from trusting her own heart, reclaiming her power, and severing the ties that bound her to this inverted reality. Today, Rebecca is a beacon of hope, guiding others through her work as a facilitator of self-healing. Rejecting the label of healer, she empowers individuals to understand their own consciousness, dismantle their programming, and embrace their own innate psychic abilities. Through her Patreon and YouTube channel, Find the Light, she shares remote viewing insights, does Q&As and healing groups, helping people uncover the truth of their own realities. Her incredible book, One Set of Footprints, is not just a recounting of trauma, but a roadmap to empowerment, showing that the power to heal lies within. Rebecca's story is a wake-up call to awaken our own strength, to see beyond the illusions of a manipulated world, and to trust the divine spark within. As she boldly states with boundless inner strength, we are the creators of our reality. By trusting the divine spark within, she inspires us to shatter the chains of illusion, embrace our limited potential, and forge a future ablaze with light, love, and sovereignty. Before wrapping up the introduction of today's guest, I'd like to share just a couple quick reminders and updates. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, if you wanted to share any information privately with me, or if you were interested in submitting a written testimony to be featured in a Substack article, you can reach out to me via email at imagineabetterworld2020@gmail.com or standbysurvivors@protonmail.com. I've also recently started up a new YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to me there at the handle at Imagination Podcast Official that I am now streaming new episode premieres from weekly. Turn on your notifications and join our loving community in the live chats every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Central Time. Thank you all on the other side of the screen wholeheartedly for helping to make the imagination the safest space on the internet for survivor, whistleblower, advocate, and educator disclosures. Your support means the absolute world to me and to every guest on the show. So you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming today's guest of honor, walking miracle, survivor and whistleblower, fierce mama bear, cycle breaker, consciousness creator, survivor and anti-child abuse advocate, and the brightest light in the darkness, the one, the only, Rebecca Barron. Rebecca, it is so good to see you and to have you on the show. Thank you with all my heart for being here with us today.
Bless you. Thank you, Emma. That was incredible. Thank you so much. That was so kind. Such a beautiful intro.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to get to connect with you. We've been talking for a while. I've been following you on social media and was just blown away by your way of presenting this information. And you literally do bring light into your messages, as dark as the things can be that you've exposed. You also you have this very healing way of delivering this information and for giving us solutions. And I can totally relate to all the people who comment on how much you've changed their life and all the different ways that you've impacted them, because you've had the same effect on me and on so many people that you'll never even hear from. So I'm really excited to dive into your story today and to get to share the amazing work that you've done, including your book. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I thought maybe we'd introduce you by just kind of going back to childhood and talking a little bit about what that was like for you and about your family life.
Well, from before like the memories came, it was kind of my childhood. It was a big family. I come from one of six. I'm from a big family. My parents, they're both Irish, and my mum is very psychic, and my dad was very intellectual, and very good. Like, they loved one another, but obviously there was issues within the family. There was abuse within the family, and then they ended up separating when I was about 6 years old, and the family kind of just fell apart when I was about 6, and we had to move. There was lots of weird stuff that happened. If it was like poltergeist and ghosts and things like that. So it was weird things that took place in the home. But also there was really lots of love as well, and the magic of mum, and dad got better, and even though they were separated, we'd see dad regularly. And then we lived in a little village in the UK. Went to school there, and then I moved out of that village when I was about 12 or 13 years old. So there was a feeling. I remember having a feeling when I was around 10 or 11 years old that there was something different. There was something wrong in the family, because there was always kind of like drama. Like, bless mum trying to keep everything together, and then when she got on her feet, something would happen. Like bad luck. There was it was just hard as a family. And so I remember having that feeling when I was around 10 or 11 years old. But the jigsaw puzzles started to come later on in life, why that was, why our family had such a difficult time.
The interesting thing about your childhood is that the abuse didn't come from an intergenerational familial situation like a lot of survivors of these programs experience. Your family, you actually came from a loving family, parents who loved you. And even though you had some spiritual experiences happen in your home, like the poltergeists and things like that, your home life was not dysfunctional in an abusive way like most of these survivors have. So I wanted to ask, where and when and how did this abuse start occurring for you as a child? How old were you?
The first memory, so I was, when the memory came back, I felt like 5 years old. So it was a feeling I was around 5. So all the kind of like the real horrendous stuff is from 5 upwards. The last time of programming as a child was when I was 12. So I went from 5 to 12 years old. The people that were in control, the handler, was there. The handler's little girl was my best friend. So I spent a lot of time at their house. And so the first memory that came back was it came through really strongly. The handler was had my head in a bucket of water. It was like drowning me. And when the memory came back, it's like I was that little girl again. Yeah, it's so intense, the memory, the feelings and sensations in my body, even though, the first memory didn't come back until in my 30s. So it was like, and I knew I had to hold on. Like I knew he wasn't gonna kill me, but it was like taking me to the edge of death, and I knew I had to hold on. It was like I had to hold on, and this is like the first memory, and I'm like, I had no clue whatsoever. It was just like trying to get my head around what I just experienced. It's like experiencing the memory, and it's like, oh my God, this is the second experience of it. And when it physically happened around 5 years old, and then having the memory in my early 30s. But I knew when I felt everything, it was like I knew what was going on. I knew what he was trying to do, and that I had to hold on to myself, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't be the person that I needed to be in reality. I needed to be myself, and I knew he was trying to break me from myself. Yeah. But allowing that memory to wash through, it was like I had no idea of the memories. Like when I remember back as a child, I was at their home a lot, went on holiday with them, but I never had any memories of that. So this was the first one, so it was very shocking. But then it kind of, the things started to click into place. So I wasn't in contact with this family anymore. And I did have contact with the daughter still. We were like still friends, but I kind of then cut that off because I didn't want to have any contact with her at all. And then little kind of things started to click into place. I remember me and my husband, after we got married, we went round to their home, and he invited my husband to be a Freemason. So, and things like this started to and I didn't know what Freemasons, but obviously the royal families were all Freemasons. There's a link between Freemasonry and Satanic stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
This handler was your best friend as a child's father. Did they live near you, or how did he get access to you so much?
Yeah, they lived around the corner. Literally a 10-minute walk. So, and we were like together a lot. So, yeah. But all the memories that I have, it was just me with the handler. But there was memories with other children, like largest amount of children. But yeah, so yeah, quite shocking, really shocking, to the point like, can I trust this? Is this true? Even though it was so strong coming through me, just even like trusting what I was experiencing. And then the memories just kept coming. I mean, it took many years for the memories to come through, but each memory was like a jigsaw puzzle on what took place as a child. Yeah.
And this man was involved not just with Freemasonry, but he had connections to the royal family and some of the public figures that we know around the royal family that you have exposed as being part of not just your abuse, but of government mind control programming in the UK and having access to groups of children. What was his, or do you think it was the Freemasonry that was his direct connection with them?
I assume so, because from the outside, he had what appeared to be like a normal job. He worked part of the programming was done at where he was working, and he worked at the BT Towers in London. But I'm one of the memories came through when I was actually at the Royal Palace, and I was standing with the handler, and he was facing many members of the royal family, including the Queen and Prince Philip, many members, and they were discussing the path that I was going to go on. Like they were discussing what path I was going to go on, what man I was going to be with, what men I was going to marry, and they were all there, the royal family. And the Queen, although it looked like she was giving like people have an opinion, it was kind of illusion. She already made up her mind what she was going to do. So, and yeah, I remember like looking up at the handler, looking at the royal family, and yeah, so they were very much involved. I had the programming took place at the BT Towers in London. There was direct programming from the Queen at a cathedral in London, where she physically assaulted me. I was on some type of hallucinating drugs at the time, so they drugged me. There was the part of the programming at the BT Towers in London. Although I don't remember every single time I went there, when I got the memories back, I knew I'd been the feeling I'm in this room again. So this is a room that I'd go into, and this is where the handler worked. And there was a time with Prince Philip in that room. He was part of directly traumatizing me as a child. So I got to the memories are like horrific. I got to understand these people because they're not people as such. They're kind of soulless. They don't have any compassion or any heart energy. And then one encounter with Jimmy Savile, it was horrendous. I was at the BT Towers in that horrendous room. It was just like a cell room. There was no carpet. There was a tiny little window at the top, and someone brought in animals, dying animals, slit throat animals, and I basically had to watch them die. And then after that, I'm just little, like 5 or 6 years old. I remember sitting by the desk of the handler's desk, and I was just trying. I was traumatized, but also at the time, like trying to find some type of softness in him or compassion. So this would stop, so it like trying to find some type of connection with him, and I couldn't feel anything. It was like dead. And then he put me in a car, and we were driving around London, and then we went into just looked like a block of flats in London. And then within the block of flats, we went to this flat, this apartment, and opened the door was Jimmy Savile. And we walked in, and then they had a conversation, and then Jimmy, I don't know if it was Jimmy or the handler, told me to get undressed. The handler left, and then I went into, in the living room, there was like this pentagon on the floor. The room was dark, but it had candles, and really, really scary. But I was kind of very traumatized anyway. So I was kind of part out my body or kind of detached kind of thing. But this made me even more detached because it was like the trauma came with like a rape, and then but in that, it's like I've remembered things that are very important to understand the system as well, because within the rape, prior to the rape, he was like dancing this weird dance, and I'm just like trying to be completely away from my physical body, not feel it, but I could see that within his weirdness of what he was doing, this dance thing, these beings walked out of him, like 3 or 4 beings. Can't remember exactly now, but so he was like connected to another world, and this other world was and this happened in the rituals as well, that they were not human. There was no humane thing about them. They were inhumane. And within the memories, these started to link together. So getting that memory was just crazy. But the memories come back so strong they were so physical, so emotional. As the more came, it was like undeniable. Yeah. Even though it was just, it's hard to believe. And I, even going through it and releasing it, it was still, because it's easy to believe, oh, it's just, that didn't happen, or, it's, so it was really, really tough, but it's taken years to sort of gather the pieces together. Yeah.
It's not a coincidence that most survivors say, I would rather be crazy than have my memories be true.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes, because if you'd rather be crazy, who wants to be crazy? If that's a better option than remembering what you went through, people can just use their imaginations and just consider how horrific this stuff must be to remember, to face, to go through, to feel in your body, and then to have to recover from and to reckon with, especially because a lot of the people were very close people in your life, maybe not the royal family in a sense of them being super close and people that you saw all the time within your own family, but this handler was your best friend's father, and these events would happen right in your environments that were supposed to be safe, with people who were supposed to keep you safe. And so I can't even imagine how horrific that is and would be to wake up to all of that. And you being here today is such a testament to the power of the human spirit, to the power of survival, to the power of heart and healing, and it shows how far you've gone in your journey and all the work that you've put in. And you're a beacon of hope now to so many people who look up to you and think, gosh, I can't wait till I'm like her. And she gives me hope that I can come out the other side as well, and be able to have a good quality of life and to actually experience joy and happiness and to be able to speak out. It's really a miracle how far you've come with this. And, it's horrible that there were people in your life that saw that light in you, and instead of embracing it and keeping it safe, people like this man wanted to exploit you for it. Do you think that was a big reason why he chose you? Do you think he saw that light in your soul, and that they were using that for what they were doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've used, like, to understand myself, like, it's what I've come to the understanding is that I was a battery, of energy. We're all energy, and it seems like some people were chosen to be like soulless. They're traumatized so much, soulless, that an entity can take over, and then some were used as a battery to keep the system running, because from putting all the jigsaw pieces together, that in order to keep this system running, they need more puppets and slaves. And so the traumas that happened as a child was to me accept an inhumane world, like, just like normalize it, that this is kind of normal and the frequencies are normal. I think naturally, with my mother, naturally able to decode frequencies. And that's why I can appear crazy, because my reality, I can decode so much from my reality. And this is why people come to see me, because they want to understand themselves more. So I'm able to see the brain and how the brain works and everything like that. So there's something within me that's kind of that I'm able to code. And also I want to teach. I want people to be empowered. I want freedom. I really want freedom, not only for me, but for everybody else, because and that power of freedom within me, maybe that's what they picked up, and they want to destroy that. And the light that we have, because light is information and it's truth. And if we create a reality from truth, then they can't exist. They need the lies and the deception and the abuse in order to stay in this reality. So when I was first grappling the memories, and it was like, why would they even do that to me? I'd done nothing wrong. It's like, I'm not part of their family. But as we're seeing my progression in the work that I do empower others, that everybody can heal, that everything is possible. You can heal from all the trauma, and you can create a reality that is authentic for you, that you can heal. I think, like, well, I know I can heal, everyone can heal. That's the feeling I have. I really believe everybody can heal from the trauma if they wish to. And that reality is far more deeper than we realize what's happened to us. So, but breaking free has been a very, very long journey.
One thing I think that's amazing is now in your adult life and after recovery, you're now able to take those spiritual gifts that were exploited and you're using them to help people now. Do you recall being younger, being used for things like remote viewing, or were you aware that you had these different spiritual abilities back then? Or was that something that you figured out after you got your memories?
No, I don't have any memories of them as a child at all. I think it's as I grew, obviously my mum had gifts, but she shut them down. She found that it's scary. And then I started just healing. So I started doing reflexology, and reflexology was massaging the feet. And then when I was massaging people's feet, I would get so much information from them, like their consciousness would talk to me. So after they finished, it was like I knew so much about them, like stuff that they hadn't told people, stuff they would need to express, stuff that was blocking them, problems in their life. So I started to talk, and they ended up calling it the crying room because everyone left crying. And and I really started to, that was like the start of it, of helping people. And it's like a light went off in me, kind of thing, And then the attacks came. So they didn't want me to find my gifts. They really wanted me to, like, not find the natural abilities that we all have. So I went through what I did as a child, and I had to heal from that, literally heal hell from me. But then also at the same time, through all the healing, the system came after me big time. So the systems that run this is alien systems. Now the alien systems, it's the political system, it's the religious system, it's it's all interconnected. So these systems are actually alien systems, and it's part of the satanic systems that so then my family was getting attacked. So it was like they believed they owned me. And then when I had children, it was like they tried to own my children. So it's like part of me was like fighting for myself and my children. So it's been one hell of a ride. But also along that, I've been understanding how they work, and from an adult perspective as well. So I've got the little girl perspective of what happened to me as a little girl, and then the adult perspective and how deceptive and abusive they are. And we all want freedom, right? We all want to understand ourselves. And that's all I was doing, really, was helping people and trying to understand myself. Yeah.
And in that understanding too, that had to have been really hard to reckon with, not just getting the memories and realizing that some of these people that you knew, such as your best friend's father, that you thought you knew them a certain way, you look at these places that they were taking you, places like his work, and they're performing ritual sacrifice in a room where he's working. And it makes, whenever I hear these stories, it makes me look at the world around me so differently. And you wonder how something like that can happen. But it's like you said, there's systems that work together. There's networks. It's a web that kind of weaves together in and out of different industries, different facilities, different secret societies, different places within society and within our population. And it's horrific to think about all the places that this could be happening. You know, some of the places that you were taken, such as to the Royals, and some of these places that they were taking you, these are highly esteemed places that get praised in society, that people want to go on vacation and visit and see with their own eyes. And here they are taking children, whether just you or groups, and they are performing crimes against humanity on them, you know, and it's just horrific to take that into consideration too, along with these people, again, that we put on pedestals that are part of this whole grand illusion with the political systems and the royalty, that these are very, like you said, soulless, evil people, and we're revering them in with who they present as in their front life, and then in the back life, they're abusing kids and programming kids and destroying children's lives.
Yeah. They it runs really deep. I get it's with the work that I do now, I feel like I've reached a level, because every time I heal something, then somebody comes with that to sort of like, oh, you've done it. It's like an unconscious thing. And now I'm getting people that have also gone through the same thing. And the stories I hear, which you've heard so many, probably way more than me, but it's just horrendous how this is so undercurrent in, like, it's not like another reality that's taking place, that's hidden beyond, hidden, and most people are just unaware of it. And I think that was part of, like, actually expressing this, because it's just so hard to believe, that this goes on a quite a big scale. And what I realized through the healing is that these people are like hybrids, what I'd call hybrids, and they've got a reptilian attached to them, so they're not fully human. They've that body that's in, so the man that the programmer to his wife was involved as well, to, if it's Jimmy Savile, the Queen and everything. I'm sure at one point they were human, but the trauma that was inflicted on them. And then what happens is the consciousness gets so suppressed within the body, then the mind can get taken over, and they become, half human and half reptilian. It's like this reptilian being. And the reptilian, in order to stay connected to the host body, needs sex. So the host becomes sex addict, like a sex addict. And this is where why it's so filled with, for me, it was also, most of it was like sexual abuse. It was horrendous. And in order for that, and I really believe that the real, like, the currency in this is sex. And this is why they're all, like, perverse in their sexuality. If it's like the Epstein, and and you look into it, it's because they're not fully human, and the alien part of them needs sex to stay connected to that host. And just discovering that, and how that has affected our whole reality, how we perceive sex, how sex is used in all of our reality, the sexualization of everything and everything like that. I mean, it affects everybody, and people don't realize, just accept it, because it's just normalized. And that's the thing, that's the weapon. They normalize frequencies that are actually alien frequencies. They're not humane frequencies. So the more I've healed and the more I've connected to myself, the more I just see, oh my God, the alien world that we're in, that people just don't see it. Do you know what I mean? Because we've just normalized everything. But as people start to wake up, or as my journey, waking up more and more and more, and that means more connection to my heart and more connection, because part of the trauma is to get your heart consciousness, your life force, to basically leave the body as much as possible, but keep me alive. That was that's the whole thing. But it's part of the healing was to get that life force back, because that had the emotional memory of it, which then gave my brain what actually physically happened. So I've had to learn enormously. I've learned along the way enormously how our consciousness works, how our bodies work, our brains work, and our light works with the physical reality. This will, it doesn't just affect the satanic stuff. It's just every day, because we come into a reality that's been very traumatized, because it's been very mixed with an alien world. And to get back to our human world, we have to connect back to ourselves, the light that we have within, and heal the traumas that we have within. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, that was very well said and very, very well articulated. I think that's a great way to explain it, and a really good way that people can digest this information, because it's so different than what we learn about humans and about the different frequencies on the planet, what's capable within a human being, that there can be soulless people who are a different race in a sense, or kind of a different species of human. And you hear this over and over and over again in these testimonies that you and others have discovered this through the secrecy of your abuse and the compartmentalization of memory. And it's stuff that people on the outside don't see. We just see the shell of these people and what they're scripted to say to us. We don't see who they are behind the scenes and get to experience their own energy in front of us, so we can use our own discernment and sort of, look into their eyes and see what you have seen. And it's absolutely horrific. And to think about people like Jimmy Savile that you hear about all the time, and they conveniently leave out the satanic ritual abuse side, even though there's been many testimonies that I've seen here and there that involve more of a satanic type spiritual abuse, and these different kind of covenant abuses that he's doing. And they kind of focus it more on, he went to hospitals and it was very random and he was just this random pedophile. But you see how systematized this was. He had an entire room set up before you even got there. This wasn't a random thing where he just went and found you and took you. He had expected you and had an entire scenario set up for you to come in.
Yeah. And his relationship, so part of Jimmy Savile looked up to Prince Philip. He wanted to be like Prince Philip. So what you hear about Jimmy Savile is Prince Philip as well, like Prince Philip's worse. So I had obviously encounters with Prince Philip, but one within the programming room. And he's just evil, just like Jimmy Savile. And Jimmy Savile very connected to the royal family.
And was he going through abuse as well, or was he abusing you?
Oh, no, Prince Philip was abusing me. Yeah. Yeah. That programming room, that it was just for abuse. there was that way. I only went in there for that. Yeah. So he wanted me dead. I remember he wanted me dead. I remember that. And
you didn't know why, right?
It sounds. I think he wanted me dead because it was like I challenged him energetically somehow. I don't know what I did, and it seems completely out of character because I was very shy and very. I wasn't like out there, like, I was very shy. I was a very shy little girl and kind of hid. But being in that room with him, his eyes, and I remember challenging him in the eyes. Not like challenging physically, but energetically challenging him. And then he wanted me dead because I suppose I looked at him. That was what happened. I suppose I didn't come for some reason, strange reason. Yeah, he's and I knew, like, I had memories of being at a ritual, and I knew a child was going to die that night, but I knew it wouldn't be me. I felt like safe. I had that feeling of safety when that came through, and for some reason they wanted me alive. And from that, it's like, why did they want me alive? Why didn't they? Because the way they treated me, it would have been easier just to kill me. Do you know what I mean? Like, just kill me, get it over and done with. But they wanted me alive. They wanted to utilize me in some way. And I think that's obviously for the energy. So as I grew, and the partners that came, especially the last partner, he so all the sexual energy, it doesn't just go to the partner, it goes to the system. So the system is an energetic system that works very differently from human system. It's like people are attached to the Satanic system. So it's like these hybrid humans, like they work like a Connolly. So the energy from me to my partner would then go into the system, would feed the system. So all the hybrids on that system. So that's why they kept me alive. So I was like a sex slave, really. That was the programming. And I even when I was getting my memories back, I was like, well, I'm not a sex slave. Do you know what I mean? I'm with somebody who loves me. But it was all a lie. It was all fake. Yeah. Part of the programming. So I had to wake up to that. Had to wake up. And I think that's the like waking up to truth. And I can really understand it's much easier living in the lie. You know, it's much easier, just denial and lying to yourself. So waking up to truth is very difficult, but also the only way I could break free. Yeah.
Where else were you taken? Was it mostly at the handler's home and then randomly taken to these events with people like the Queen, Jimmy Savile, or were you taken to all different places in the location or beyond that you were living?
Well, the memories that I have, so memories at the handler's home. There was a place in Derbyshire, so I met the Queen there, and this was, I think, after I had met her when they were deciding my life path, and it was a ritual. And I remember the handler being very angry and frustrated because he needed more time with me and he didn't have enough time. Anyway, we got to this big house, big manor house. And we walked up the stairs, and as we entered in, the Queen was he went directly to the Queen. So, and she looked at me, she scanned me like a computer. And she said, there's something wrong with my heart. So basically I had too much heart consciousness. And he gave some sort of how he didn't have enough time or something. And then she left. And then he took me we walked, and there was this room. And as he opened the door, the room was full of kids. And, if you get a normal room full of children, they're playing, they're jumping, they're laughing and everything like that. But that wasn't the room. The kids were all like standing, not jumping, not laughing, not talking, kind of eerie. And he asked me to pick somebody to stand with, and which I did. And I picked a little boy who was younger than me, and he was just not there. He was just completely like gone, like completely dissociated. Like I stood next to him, but I don't think he knew I was standing next to him. And then the handler put a red string around our wrists, so binded us together in this red string. And then we waited there. I don't know how long. And then after a time, we had to queue up, and then we queued, and all the kids, and we walked out. So all the kids walked out together outside, and it's like dark now. And then this event, like a ritual, was taking place. I didn't really quite know what was. I just knew I had to stand. And then I saw the Queen also, and she was watching all the children, and there was people in like black hooded capes, and the handler was standing on my left side behind me, just a bit further back. And I looked down at the little the red string, and I thought I could get free. I was like, I could see this is like, so I was like, I got free from the string. So I ran. And it's amazing, because when I got that memory back, I got it, I processed it. It was like, oh my God. Like, anyway, the handler got me when I ran. He got me and dragged me back, and really my life went to hell after that, because I showed him up in front of everybody. So the abuse that happened after that from the handler, his wife came involved, and the abuse was horrendous, because it wasn't a business anymore. It became personal, because I showed him up in front of his peers and the Queen. So they hated me. So something must have happened to him on his status or something. So the abuse that happened, I paid for that. But also, in me at that age, I wanted to break free. Do you know what I mean? And it was like also possible. And that was massive for me. You know, that was massive, that I could break free. Even with all the horrendous people around me, that I could break free. So that memory was really important to remember, and for that little girl to remember that actually they're not as strong or as controlling or as powerful as I was led to believe. You know?
Yeah, that sometimes the control seems so strong, but it can be just as light as a string around your wrist, you know, and that it is possible to break free from that, even though it's such a long and arduous journey, and it's not something that a child can easily do. But I could see how that memory could be something that you would reflect on, you know, and hold close to you and be like, oh, you know, there are ways out of this. I just have to get clever and see things from a different lens instead of just what they want me to see, which is I am in control of you, and I'm going to bind you to this other child with a string, and you can't go anywhere. And I really love that story. I think that's totally speaks to you just as a total badass, that's still the person that you are. You're still always just, you know, you're going to break free from anything that tries to bind you down and that gets in your path. And I love that you were able to have a memory where you recognize that in yourself as a child. And I'm sure that little girl is so freaking proud of you and who you are today.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. It's like, yeah, that little girl, she's helped me so much, because it was really her strength, and her like strength of holding on to her heart and believing, yeah, I can have a better life, and I'm going to live my life and not the life that you want me to live, you know, and all having that, like believing that the world can be a beautiful place. And I'm just so thankful I never lost that. And I also put that down to having such amazing parents. You know, I think it would have been much harder, I feel, if my parents were in the system. So I can't even imagine being in the system and being abused by by my parents. That would have been much, it would have, horrendous. So my heart goes out to those survivors. Yeah.
And parents like yours, your parents had to have been so devastated. They tried to give you such a good life and did give you a good life at home, and had no idea also that, you know, somebody so close to you and them, literally right down the street, was doing these horrendous things to you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it kind of, because obviously my dad, I never really got to speak to my dad about it. But obviously he's in the afterlife, so I'm able to connect with him there. And my mom, but it made sense because they really attacked. So the family, why I felt that like there's something wrong with our family, is because we were getting so attacked, Freemasonry attacked, but we didn't know what that was. And it's not until I had my babies, really, and the attack started as I started to, basically the same thing that happened with my mother. She started to use her gifts, and my dad encouraged her, and then attacks started, these psychic attacks and poltergeists and really weird stuff started to take place. So she shut her gifts down. So as my gifts started to open up, the attack started, and I knew that if I shut my gifts down, one, it wouldn't, the attacks wouldn't stop, because I knew from my mother that her shutting her gifts down, her psychic abilities down, did not stop the attacks on the family. So that was a massive lesson for me, that when the attacks started, after I had my babies, if I just shut my gifts down, it's not going to help. So I have to keep doing what I'm doing, keep connecting to myself, keep going to my passions, what I love, which was understanding people, which turned into understanding of self. And then also understanding these attacks, which actually understanding the attacks led to like the first memory and more of me having to use my abilities and understand my abilities, because the attacks were otherworldly, and so thank God I learned from my family. I learned from my mum and dad that I couldn't do that, because it didn't help. Because the instant reaction is like, okay, I should stop doing what I'm doing, because obviously the system doesn't. I didn't know about the system then, but if something doesn't like me doing what I'm doing, but it didn't. I just kept going and just understanding the system and how it works. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's sad too that your mom, she didn't know what was happening beyond what was happening in your home, and took total responsibility for the attacks happening and thought maybe it was her, and shut her gifts down, not knowing what you knew later in life, that maybe there was attacks too for her and what she was doing, but that there were outside forces that were trying to attack you and were going after your family at the same time that your mom didn't even know that there was any involvement with.
Yeah, so I've really helped my mum piece all the pieces together of her life and why it was so difficult with the family, and with that she's opened up her gifts, and incredible. Like, that's where I go if I'm getting lost. Yeah, she's an amazing woman. So we've kind of been like this, like figuring everything out and sharing, and she's an incredible lady. Yeah, I'm very blessed to have her as my mother. Yeah, I am.
And your children are very blessed to have you. You broke the cycle. I'm sure that they wanted you to grow up, and like you said, they were trying to even handle your children before you received all of your memories and kind of knew what was going on. They were trying to interfere with your family. And so it's amazing you had a hard stop with that, and you stopped it from continuing on any further than you. And so then you could take what you figured out and are healing from and have healed from, and you've been able to heal your own internal family with your own parents to help them understand some of the things that were happening at home that they didn't have and weren't able to make sense of. And so you've broken a lot of trauma in your family, both with your own children and with your parents, which is really amazing.
Yeah. It's been one hell of a ride. And it was really that, I think, like when my babies come along, your heart just opens, and it's just that mama bear. And it's like, because they went after my babies, and that was it wasn't programming as that I had it on a physical level. It was another type of programming that they were doing, and trying to understand that, and it's horrendous how they work, the deception and everything like that. It was, they wanted my children to, they wanted me to stay in the system, and then also take my children with in that system. And so it's been really hellish at times, but also it's also helped me understand the system, and also for us to help me understand my own abilities, because I've had to, I haven't been able to really rely on, every time I kind of relied on something or somebody, it would slap me in the face. So relying on myself, and that's kind of how the healing started, that we all have the answers within, and we all know our mind likes patterns. So our DNA, we kind of live the life of our parents, but to come out of it, we have to follow our own heart. And so we evolve, basically. So I teach people how to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about your story of remembering, because it's just incredible how this all showed up for you and sort of the sequence of events that happened. But before we do, was there any other important memories from childhood that you wanted to share? And also, did you want to share about how old you were and how this stopped for you?
How it stopped. Really, the stopping on a like childlike a level. The last memory was on a holiday with that family when I was about 12. But really, it continued as soon as I woke up. They went for me. So and that's been going on for like 10 years. And to break free and thinking every time I'm free, but I was still in it and breaking free from it. It's been very. So, it's I always say, okay, I'm free, and then so I don't like the last person I was with, who I was planned to be with from when I was little. He was in the system, and so getting free from him, which has only been just over a year now. But after that, the attacks. So, like, the attacks haven't stopped. It's like they still want to stop me. They still want to suppress me. They don't want me to do interviews. They don't want me to work. They don't want me to talk. So freedom is I have freedom, but I'm not free from attacks yet. And I want that, and I want that for my family. And so yeah, it's the system is tricky. So they go through the traumas. So the traumas that you have in your mind, which they implement, then a part of that is to put their energies into your mind so they can control. So part of my learning is like, right, I've got to heal all my trauma so they can't get to me, because all the attacks would go through the trauma that they created when I was a little girl. So basically I had to own my trauma and heal my trauma. So that was bringing more light into my body and just connecting to myself. And with that, it's like the memories would come, but it would all happen very naturally. I never like forced it. Like reality kind of triggers you, and within that trigger, I learned that I needed to go back to the source of the trigger, the root of the trigger. So and then the partner intertwined his energies into me, so separating myself from him. And then when I got to a certain level and I'm really separated, they went after me, because it was like, we've lost a light. So we've lost a source. We've lost a battery, I suppose. And but I've got stronger and stronger throughout the year. But they have gone after me and hammered me. But then I learn from it and then grow from it. So yeah. So although it's like, it's stopped on a physical level, on a spiritual level, it's gone on, and it's learning and understanding it. And I share everything, I share my journey, and the more I understand of it and get rid of it, the where they attach or how they get in, the more light comes in, because I feel more safer in my body, you see. So it's like, then I see even more. So it's been a hellish journey, but also an amazing journey, because it's like, oh my God, reality is incredible. Like, when we're born, we're supposed to merge with ourselves, our light that we have within, which is like, it's connected to everything that is. It's the most beautiful light. We are beings of light. But what the system does is get the human to merge with an alien system and then act out that alien system. So the people like of the system, all, like, if it's the politicians and everything, they've been through the programming, the royals, everything. They've all been through the programming to get them into that. So they take on the alien, they take on the ET, the reptilian. But we are supposed to take on a reality, but it's not their reality, it's our own reality, and bring all that light in. So that's what I've been doing. And I suppose, like, freedom comes when I see, like, all the systems falling down. So the political system, and there's so much light now. I mean, I'm sure, like, I'm sure you've had a hard time doing this podcast, and people don't want you to talk, but this podcast probably wouldn't be around 20 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's around because more people are talking, and that's more light coming in, more truth coming in. Like, our reality is not what it seems, and this needs to become like knowledge, and that we need to know what's happened to all. It's not, I've been in it, and I feel like I came in to understand the system, to actually talk about it, to help people like understand why politicians are the way they are, why the royal families, why the control systems, the manipulation and all the abuse that in this reality. Our reality shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be ill. We shouldn't have all these systems in place. And yeah, I suppose to use my voice to help people understand that actually our reality has been very abused. And really, we have to look at self and get the abuse out, and the deception and manipulation out of self, and look towards our truth and what our truth is. And that changes reality. Yeah.
Yes, it does. And the less attention and energy that we give these people, the reality starts to crumble. It's really not a difficult thing to stop all of this. Like, society, because we have such high numbers and because there's so few of them in a sense, they've manipulated all of us to take on their beliefs. They've created a belief system that we've adapted. And because of our collective beliefs, we've created the reality for them by believing in it and by participating in it. When we can all just change our belief system, we can walk away, create our own reality, our own world without them. And we have that power within us. We created their reality for them, this dark place that we live, where we have the glimmers of light, like the Rebecca Barron speaking out. And, it is really empowering to realize that, because it can feel so dark and like helpless sometimes. But we are the ones that have the power. If we didn't, they wouldn't have spent, millennia brainwashing all of us to believe certain things and to buy into certain systems and to different, the political system and these different divisive systems that they've created. They did all that so we would help them create what they wanted, when we can do the same thing and create what we want the world to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the system doesn't exist if we don't give the light to it. Yes. So, and this is why, I discovered like religion is kind of making servitude towards reality, always like the giving, you overgive. So I work with women, they're always giving to their children, to their family, to society. We kind of get programmed not to love ourselves. It's like it's a slave society. And when I look back, it's from religion. And actually when women really love themselves, they love everything that is, they naturally will love their children more, because the children are in the heart, so it's less traumatic for the children. So for children to grow up loving themselves, they need a mother that loves herself. And then that doesn't make it takes us, it's amazing, it takes us out of a slave society. And that will then decode, because masculine energy, mental energy, men ground the light down and decode that light to create the reality. So masculine, female energy create the physical reality. And what we've been doing with religion is giving all that energy away. So we realize that you don't create reality, a God creates reality, and you've got to pray to that God. So that changed the way our brains worked. So our brains, the neurons, go outside of ourselves. So the reason we go outside for information outside of ourselves, we go to the news to determine our reality, all these sort of things, it comes from religion. It's like, does God love me? Am I doing okay? And actually, it's the light that we are knows what life is all about. And actually, when we connect to our own light, that will then guide us and teach us about life and why we're actually here. And it changes the way our brain works. So they need our brains to go outside ourselves, because then we run to the politicians, we run to the religious people, we run to people that they're actually all infested with this hybrid human satanic yucky energy, and that gives them power. So it's like learning to trust yourself, believe in yourself, to like you've got all the light, and that light is knowledge and understanding of how to get all the challenges that you're creating, you can get out of, kind of grow from and evolve from. So you can evolve from your childhood. Yeah. I think if I if I like looking down, like coming here, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to go through this. If I knew I couldn't get out of it, I wouldn't have bothered coming. Do you know what I mean? It was like, no, I'm not doing this. Because why? We're not here to suffer. We're here to evolve out of learning of how reality is and how powerful we are. We really are powerful beings. There's so much light that we have, and that light, and most people are scared of their light because they get attacked. I got attacked because of my light. So perception of my light was that, I'm attacked. So I'll just keep my light inside because that's why I was attacked. So I was frightened of my light, which is really common when I look at people. They're frightened of their own light. It's like a collective fear, and we shouldn't be frightened of who we are.
And you had a lot of obstacles that really try to prevent you from getting to this higher place of understanding that you're able to articulate just how you did right now. Yeah. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that journey, because it wasn't just you healed spontaneously and had all these realizations of the world. You were attacked. There was black magic that came after you. There was a lot of struggle and up and downs that you and your family went through as you started remembering and recovering.
Yeah. My knowledge and understanding hasn't just like in me. It's been I've had to learn along the way, and the lessons that have come. So my family were getting attacked. We moved into this house, and it was and these beings. This is when I started to do the reflexology, and I started discovering my gifts. These beings were around at night attacking me and the children, and it's like these black smoky beings, and I didn't know what they were. I didn't know how to get rid of them. I have it clueless. And a woman was contacting me at the time, and because I did the Dolores Cannon course, so she found me on that, and she had done it. After I woke up, I did a hypnosis course, Dolores Cannon. And she contacted me at the time, and I told her what my family, we couldn't sleep. There was no sleeping in the home. And then there was what happened. I told her, and she said, oh, this man, he deals with this. And this man's a healer. He's actually a well-known British healer. I think he's gone to America now. Anyway, I went to go and see him like on Zoom, and well, the attacks got worse. There was horrible stuff. Reppy energy. So this is like the first contact of reptilian energy as an adult to my son. So programming was taking place with my child. So it just got worse and worse and worse, to the point I couldn't work. We hadn't slept as a family for months and months. It was just spiritual attack all the time. And I ended up going to a psychic weekend for protection, because I didn't know how to protect myself. I had no idea. And then it came out there that this healer, which is a very big healer, was actually a black magician. And he was attacking not just me, but many women on that psychic weekend. So I just told my story, and then all these women was like, oh my God, we're going through the same thing or similar. And so I started to learn that it's nothing what it seems, kind of thing. You can't trust people. So the deception. And then it was like, okay, this is a person that does magic, and he was attached to me. So this is like the first time I started to realize and start to gather that these hybrids, they attach to the light of you. So he was attached to my spine. So he was siphoning off all my life force, not all of it. I couldn't siphon off all of it, because but he was taking my energies. And then after that, I learned, so that it was a horrendous experience. And then it went on to, I felt very vulnerable after that. It was like, where do I go? I felt very vulnerable. I didn't know how to protect myself. I was, but got rid of him. I got help, got rid of him. And then it went on to, I picked up an angel book. And so I picked up this angel book and I read it and I thought, oh, a load of rubbish. And then a feather came out of nowhere, and a little feather came, and it went into the palm of my hand, and that was it. I was hooked. And then I believe in angels, and I wasn't religious at all, and it was just, I believe in angels, So I was back working at that time, but then demonic energies came in. So my family went through another round of crap, and I'll pray to the angels, it'll make it better. And then after that, it just got really bad. And I started to use my abilities of trying to see what was going on beyond what you see in the physical. And I started to see that the angels and demons work together to create batteries out of people. So then I started to piece the knowledge that religion is a belief structure. It doesn't come from our hearts. It's a belief structure that is actually entwined into the satanic system to give your energy away, to keep you disempowered. So it was like the whole waking up to religion and what religion actually is. If you're giving your power away, you'll never find the true power of yourself. If you're putting your trust in guides or angels, you're doing that because you're not trusting yourself or believing in yourself. So that was like, I have to believe and trust myself, although that was very difficult because I was attracting so much crap in my life, So the lessons have been like, I've had to walk through them. And I talk about that in the book. Every lesson, it's been my experiences. And then the memories come back and they took, so yeah, it's been, and then I had, it was like direct attacks from Queen Elizabeth. So direct attacks from her. So learning like the attacks come from people to just people to hybrids to technology. So finding out how the technology works. And this is where I discovered that they attack the traumas, and that's why they wanted to trauma me. Part of it, why they traumatized me so much as a child, was so they could anchor into me as an adult. And so then it was like, I've got to heal everything. So yeah, it was the most crazy thing, like getting psychically attacked by the Queen, like going after me. But many people. It took me a while to get to the Queen kind of thing because a lot has happened. You have to read the book. I know you've read it, so a lot's happened. Yeah.
And I want to talk about the book also in just a second, and kind of tie that into you becoming a public speaker, deciding to go public with this information after you had gone through so much of your healing journey. And I wanted to ask what inspired you to want to talk about this publicly, to become a kind of guide for other survivors and people who have gone through trauma, to help them rediscover their connection with themselves. And then, of course, I want to talk about your book, the inspiration behind the title, and show people where we can get that.
Yeah. I've been talking on YouTube for years, and I can't remember the exact time I spoke about my past. I think that when the memories came up, I just started speaking about it because I'm trying to figure it out. And I suppose used YouTube. I just expressed, can't give a secret. So it wasn't, I can't remember going, all right, I'm going to go and do something. But obviously recently in the last year on TikTok and stuff, so it's gone out to a wider audience. So it's been a bit scary because it's hitting more people. And that's been a bit scary, to be honest, because obviously people want to talk about it. So, but doing the book was tough. Was really tough. Doing the book was really tough, and it's like, so I'm, I've got to do this book. I've got to do this book, and the same is like going on YouTube. I remember going on YouTube and I'm like, oh God, I've got to talk. And there's like my heart like pushing me forward. And I think it's really part of my healing as well, that I can just speak freely without, worrying about what people think of me or the perceptions, or just being able to say my truth. And I think this is why we're here, to speak, speak our truth, so we're free. Yeah, that's part of freedom. So but the book was difficult because I'd obviously, even though I'd gone through the healing of the memories at the time, but to go back, it was like being triggered again, and it wasn't a pleasant thing. But it was very healing, and also during the book, it helped me see things more. It's like more things click together. So I really would recommend, like, when people is that they write their experiences, because it can be very powerful, very, very powerful. Yeah. So yeah, that's my book, One Set of Footprints, and I've got another one. I've got another one to do, because it's like, I thought at the end of the book it was like, yeah, I was like, that's it. And I thought I was free, but I wasn't. So a lot more came to light, and a lot more kind of battles that I had, a lot more truth I had to connect to, and that kind of my reality got much bigger. And so that, yeah, there is another one coming. And then also a book about consciousness and how much I've learned, and to help people understand that they are beings of light, and which creates everything, like light is everything. So
That's exciting. I'm glad that you're not stopping here. You really do. You're a wealth of information. I think a lot of people can benefit from that. And it'd probably be nice for you, when you get questions, to just say, oh, you want to learn more? Go read my book.
yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot to talk about all the time. This book that we have on the screen, One Set of Footprints, this is Rebecca's memoir. So this is her actual story, what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. More of it is in the book, obviously. It's an incredible book. You guys can get that on her website, which I'm going to share in the show notes. But it's right on the resources tab. You guys can click it. And I wanted you to share just the inspiration behind the name of this book, Rebecca, because I think it's a really cute story.
Yeah. It's a beautiful story. It's my favorite part of the book, actually. It's like this magic. My mum is full of magic. So I was at my mother's. I was visiting my mum with my babies, with my children, and things were really weird. It was just really like going on weird. I was helping people. I was working, but there was a lady that had came into my life, and she was kind of psychically, the problem with psychic people, she was like spying on me, and it was just really uncomfortable. She was trying to control how I helped people, and I was like, no, I'm helping them my way, kind of thing. So it was like a control element, and I felt very uneasy around her. And I think it was like a year prior with the Black Magician, and I just felt something's not right, something's gonna go down. And anyway, so I was at my mum's, and I come out, and my mum goes, Becky, I've just had this vision, and I open this door, and all these gifts fall on you. Just all these like presents fall on you. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's lovely. Weird. She said, yeah, you're going to be given gifts. You get lots of gifts. And she said, you've got this path to do, but only you can do it. It's one set of footprints. Only you can walk it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, can my partner come with me? Like, and she said, you're going to give everything. You're going to be given everything you need to walk this path. And it's to enlightenment, to universal knowledge, to she wrote down these words: one set of footprints, enlightenment, universal knowledge, and you're going to walk this path. And I was like, oh, excited, and I didn't know what was coming, but also at the time there was lots of funky energy around as well. So anyway, I think it was the next day or that night, the attack started from this lady, who turned out to be another hybrid person. And they kept coming really fast. And I was with the children alone, and I was petrified. I dealt with attacks from the Black Magician to the angels, demons, but I'm not equipped. It's not like I go to, you go to school. It's like, how do I deal with this? And I was petrified. I was really frightened for me and the children. And then I got home and got the kids into bed. I didn't let them sleep in their bed. I got them into my bed, and And it was like the fear of what was taking place, all this darkness, but then my heart just opened up and all this light came out. Huge amount of light, huge. And the room was filled with light, and literally that light just, I slept that night. But after that, I could see the system. So when I was looking now, my psychic gifts really came through. It was like another awakening. And I was able to see the satanic system and why I was getting attacked so much, because I was part of that satanic system because of the satanic energies that was inflicted on me as a child, and that I needed to get out, and that all these people are interconnected. Yeah. So any time, and part of that system was, at the top of that system was Queen Elizabeth. And she was alive then, and she was the mover and shaker of the satanic system. So I saw her, and I saw this woman that was attacking. She was kind of like trying to protect that system. So anytime I made a move that was wrong for them, they would come and attack me. And that's why I was dealing with so many attacks. And then, so it was one, and that's why I call the book One Set of Footprints, because it was, my mum said, it's one set of footprints, only you can do it. Which is so true. Everyone's got their individual path. And although we can support, we can't do it. You can't be the savior of somebody. You've got to find your own empowerment. So that's really part of the book, of finding my own empowerment.
I think it's the perfect title, and I love the special meaning behind it, that it wasn't your publisher or somebody writing it for you. This is actually a personal story that you named your book after, and it ended up being perfect. And for people who would like to purchase this, her website is findthelight-rb.com, and it's up on the resources tab. Rebecca actually works with people as well, trauma survivors, how we were saying earlier, programmed survivors, people who have gone through hardships. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your work too, Rebecca, because I think it's remarkable. And you have a growing community that you're doing on Patreon. And you've just been a big help for a lot of people. And I only see that growing for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Emma. Yeah, so people just started coming to me for help, and it was weird stuff like attachments, ETs, and then implants. But as I grew, I started to learn. As the light came in, as it did, I started to learn about the brain, and the left brain and the right brain, the light and the physical reality, and how we have to merge those two together. And stuff takes us away, like trauma and beliefs and perceptions, that it splits the brain. And so I help people. It's not just survivors, anything. So, and I set up healing groups. So like on a Monday, I might see about 25 people, and they get 10 minutes with me, and they have come in with a problem. If it's a physical problem, mental health issue, illness, and then I'll go and look at the brain and see where the problem is, because every illness, every problem that you have in your life, there's a disconnection between the left and the right brain somewhere. And we'll find out if that's a trauma. Traumas create perceptions. And so I set up these healing groups years ago, and they're like always booked out. They're like really popular. And then, so I've got those groups. So when people leave, they usually leave on the last day of the month, and then people just jump on. And then I do one-to-ones, but I've currently fully booked. I don't have any appointments as yet. Hopefully open the appointment system back up again in March. And then I've got my YouTube channel. So I share as much free information as possible on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. And YouTube's lovely because everyone knows me, and people are really lovely. But TikTok is such a wide audience, so people can be quite harsh. But and then I do, what's really popular as well is my question and answer sessions. So I do them twice a fortnight, and they can be really fun. And so it's like people asking stuff to do with spirituality, if it's to do with politics, to do with Mother Earth, to do with consciousness, lots of things. And so it's non-personal questions. And I just, basically, what I've learned is that we're connected to everything that is. So the more I connect with myself, the more the answers, they come through. So it's just connect. we're like a massive internet system within us. So the more we connect to our own light, the more understandings we have. And I just share those understandings that the people that wish to understand. Yeah, so that's quite fun, and it's a lovely community. It's really amazing. Actually, the people on Patreon have really, because they've seen me through the ups and downs, and I share my experiences along the way of breaking free and what's happened. And so I share my life and the love and support from these people, and vice versa. You know, they really become like family. They feel like family. So it's, yeah, I feel very blessed. So yeah, find the light.
And people can access all of that from your website. Right on your front page, you have your contact. So if people want to inquire about something specific, the Patreon or the group sessions, you guys can reach out to Rebecca. She also has a Facebook that I have up on the screen right now at Find the Light. You guys can message her there as well. She does have a WhatsApp option also. So you guys can connect with her there no matter where you're at in the world. And then you guys can go to her website again to get her memoir, which I definitely highly encourage you guys to do. It's a beautiful story at the end of it. Rebecca always shines her light on everything. So even though it's not an easy read all the time, Rebecca has her way of infusing it with healing and love and compassion and ultimately light. So I really encourage you guys to please go support her and join her groups if you guys want. If you guys have questions for her, the Patreon question and answer, it seems like a really fun community where you guys can ask her specific questions during that, and she can answer them on the spot for you guys. So if you guys have certain questions about your life or about different things happening in the world, Rebecca can use her gifts to help answer those for you. And I think that that's a really neat service that she offers, where you guys can come together as a community and learn from each other, piggyback off questions, and actually get to pick her brain for the things that you guys are personally wondering and that you might be questioning about in comments on podcasts that she does or videos. Please just go ask her yourself, join her group and support her. There's no better way to give back to survivors than to go support their work and help them continue doing what they do and help lift them up. You know, this information can be very suppressed. It can be kind of frustrating sometimes to try to get out. The algorithms don't want us talking about this. And so we combat that by, again, creating our own reality. We can go ahead and promote and support people that we want to be promoted and supported, not just the people that have been installed that are inadvertently supported and revered, you know, like some of the people that Rebecca talked about today that I'm sure is going to shock a lot of you learning what some of these people are involved in. And Rebecca, you're just such a beautiful soul. I would love to have you back. I feel like I could talk to you for 24 hours. You're just a wealth of knowledge. You really do just, you know, you shine the light on everything that you touch. And I'm really excited that there's more things coming down the pipeline, including some books. And is there anything else that you wanted to share today that we didn't get to, or anything else that you wanted to close with or let people know about your work?
I do have a seminar, that's on the 19th. So I kind of go through my whole story. I'm talking about my story and how I learned everything. So, but it's 3 classes, and I also teach people how to connect with themselves and kind of connect to that inner wisdom, that intelligence that we kind of hidden. So I'll take people on that and help them connect with themselves. So I'm doing that as well. So,
and is that accessible on your website? Do you have that on there that people can sign up for?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Go to services, and then you go to you'll see it, the seminar, 3 classes. Yeah, yay. You'll have to come along.
I know, I would love to sometime. That sounds really neat. And it's something obviously that's so new to me, having not grown up how you did and how others did. This information is all very new. So I think it's fascinating to learn what we're capable of. And it's really sad how these gifts are exploited by the few people who do know that they exist, and they're used for really dark things. And it's really empowering to see people like you and others that, you know, were exploited for your gifts, and, you know, or had these gifts that were just dormant your whole life, you know, that you didn't know that you had until you were older. It's really beautiful to see the ways that you're using them to heal the world and using them in a positive manner that can help elevate society, instead of, you know, these dark forces trying to cipher that or shut them off, or, you know, threaten sort of what happened to your mom, where she felt so responsible for things that she turned off her own gifts. I think a lot of us do that because we're scared of our own potential. And people like you show us that, you know, on the other side of that is a really beautiful thing that we can use for good in the world. And so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work that you do. I love your social media. I didn't show you guys her TikTok, but her TikTok's awesome. So is her Instagram. Rebecca posts short little videos and gives us all hope while exposing the darkest corners of the universe. But there's lots of love in there and lots of education, and you guys can connect with her there too. But really honored to have you on, Rebecca. And I just can't thank you enough for sharing these vulnerable moments and these really beautiful, bright moments of your life with us.
Bless you. Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you for being so sweet and kind.
You're so welcome. And so everybody, I'm going to have all Rebecca's information down below in the show notes, her book, her websites, her Facebook, her social media. Go connect with her. Her YouTube, as you guys saw, is just a wealth of knowledge, tons of videos, years old. So you guys can go back in her archive. There's no shortage of videos for you guys to go watch. Super educational, really personal, vulnerable. And again, she shines her light in there. So I would love if you guys went and subscribe to her YouTube channel, share her videos. If you're interested in her seminar, it's right on her website. If you want to join her Patreon, you can do that through Facebook or her website. And feel free to connect with her, lift her up if you guys have, you know, similar experiences, or if you have a piece of the puzzle that could maybe help her, or if you want to thank her for providing a piece of the puzzle for you. If you're somebody who has gone through some of these things, it's wonderful when survivors can connect with each other. So if that's you, please reach out to her and let her know what an amazing job she's doing and how much she's helped you. And I'll have all my information as well in the show notes, you guys. We really couldn't do this without you. Your guys' support, your viewership, your care and compassion for every guest on the show and off this show, every survivor speaking out is just amazing. What an amazing time that we live in, that we can have these conversations, and the stuff can be found very easily online now. So that's because of you guys. So keep it up. Please share this episode, share Rebecca's book and all of her different social media, wherever you guys can, and support her. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bless you all. And we will see you next time.